All right. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Ham Radio Perspectives. My name is Quinn, Kilowatt 8, quite sexy, also known as Dr. Q.
And I'm Tom, Whiskey Alpha 9, a Tango Delta Delta, sometimes known as the Tasmanian Daredevil.
All right, Tom, we're on board today. We're going to do the history of ham shacks, and you have put together a phenomenal presentation. Let me just tell everybody up front, a ham shack is not just a place. It's not just the things in it. It's the meaning that people derive from it. In some respects, it's the man cave. It's the place where we go. It's the place that connects us to the world and all. We'll talk about all of that today on Ham Radio Perspectives. So let me see if I can get this slide presentation going, partner. And we're going to rock and roll if I can.
And away we go.
And away we go. All right, the evolution of the ham shack. Get this, an anthropological survey of the development and evolution of the amateur wireless radio environment. Wow, that sounds pretty amazing, dude.
It was as scholarly as I could put together, Doc.
You did it, man. You did it. Here we go. This is the beginning.
This is the beginning. This is the original digital mode, chipping bits and dashes in rocks. First form of communication that involved letting someone go from point A to point B without actually standing there and talking to them.
Yeah, right. He's in continuous wave, right? Continuous wave.
He's continually waving, right?
Yeah, it also shows the beginning of this kind of communication, that it's an endless labor, man. It's work over and over again. You create one message and then you send it out and you got to do another one. That's the nature of ham radio. We're always working.
That's right. Can you imagine sending out the 3 CQs at a time before you signed your call and hope somebody came back to you without throwing the rock at you?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
This is the Telegraph office in Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, just south of the Ohio River. As you notice, the 6 gentlemen out front are actually members of the Rabbit Hash Amateur Telegraph Club. They're here for their their weekly meeting on alternate Thursdays of every month.
This is quite a group. I'm looking at those guys. I'm thinking, that could be any ham fest today.
It's the charter membership of the Old Timers Club.
Can you imagine what would happen if you showed up at a ham fest today dressed like that?
You would probably be thrown out because you look too good.
Yeah, you look too good. All right. Well, so this is at the Telegraph office. I was once at a real telegraph office back in the Chicago area as a kid, running around with my night kit C100 walkie-talkie, and we were on our bikes and we happened to run across a Sioux line, and he invited us in and showed it how it worked. It was really quite impressive, and it helped encouraging me an interest in ham radio.
This is the interior shot of the shack. As you see, it's the typical amateur radio or amateur telegrapher setup. You have here 2 receivers for, stereo, 2 brass keys and 2 transmitters, along with the 2 ubiquitous bar stools.
Yeah, you always have to have backup equipment, right?
Absolutely. This may have been for either a DX contest or a field day event. Yeah,
it could have been. It reminds me that hams generally don't spend much on furniture. They put all the money in the rigs and and then they're stuck with whatever's left for furniture.
Yeah, and this was probably pretty expensive equipment at the time.
Yeah, CW station.
All right. The Marconi wireless telegraph. This is after we've got out of playing tunes over wires to actually going wirelessly, trying to shoot a signal across the county. Marconi set up this station on the coast of New York, trying to send the letter S across the sea.
Yeah, and this really begins to idealize sort of the cottage ham shack where you get away from it all. And you have a special place out in the country, and you put your antenna up. It looks like he's got 450 ohm open line or something on this sucker. And of course, you have to have backup here too. So if all else fails, Tom, he can get on that bike and go across the ocean?
I don't think so, Tim.
No.
But you didn't. But you did notice the ladder up the side, so he can run up and down onto the roof and adjust his SWR by changing the width of his ladder line.
Yeah, that's sort of the ideal of every ham. Spouses don't want it, but you try to put a ladder and keep it up the side of the house because everything's going to come crashing down with the next ice storm.
Exactly. This is the inside of the shack, or a reasonable facsimile thereof. Again, your typical layout: a receiver, transmitter, antenna tuner. Matter of fact, it looks like 2 antenna tuners and a set of headphones, very similar to the headphones I'm currently wearing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by this in terms of the idea, too, of stacking equipment. At some point, hams really started getting into that.
That's because they were too cheap to afford a bigger table.
Yeah, or didn't have room. But yeah, so it's impressive, though. Doesn't it give you a sense of power just to sit before this kind of equipment?
Right, and if you could imagine the winding up sound of your spark gap transmitter, the sound of power would be overwhelming.
And there you have the calendar. That's critical for the ham shack, because hams never can remember what day it is anyway.
Yeah, but also notice there isn't a clock, so nobody really cared what time you were operating. If the sun was up and the sunspots were good, you were good to go. Can you imagine, though, in the current sunspot situation, Marconi got lucky. If the current sunspot situation was the same as it is now back then, he would have never sent a message at all.
That's a very interesting point. You wonder how much of radio history depends on sunspots.
Right. If there's no skip, he would have never been able to send the letter S across the Atlantic. He would have given up and gone to inventing electric toasters.
Did it.
This is an old shot of the interior radio room on the Titanic. Again, a similar layout, small wooden table, big electrical switches and meters, and an operator intently copying a coded message from the Vanderbilts.
It's the early mobile shack, I think, Tom.
It's a maritime mobile, indeed it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we think about mobile in terms of vehicles today, but it really starts out with ship.
Correct. And if you notice on the wall, he's got 2 clocks. One, I'm sure, is for Greenwich Mean Time, and the other is for local ship time.
Yeah, really neat. Unfortunately, this shack didn't last.
It did not last at all, but I believe he was the last person to remain alive on the ship.
Okay, so here this is impressive, buddy.
This is impressive. This is more of a modern naval radio room. By whose standards it's modern, I'm not really sure. I know that the Hallicrafter's SX-28 up on the top shelf there, which is about a 1943 vintage. So I'm guessing this is probably the interior of the radio room on a submarine, seeing as it's so cramped. There's could you imagine how hot that room would be with burning 811s on the finals?
Wow, yeah, well, all the equipment. It's also the wraparound shack. Here you have the sort of technological shack where all you see is equipment stacked up all around you, and that's it. You want to live in this technological environment.
You best not be claustrophobic.
Yeah, boy, I would be in this situation. Oh,
the rural ham shack. Actually, it's one of the more environmentally friendly ham shacks. It serves actually two purposes. It's an HF station and also operates QRP.
QRP. Oh boy, that's bad.
And real low power is QRPP.
or QRT when you're done for toot. QR toot.
Exactly.
Yeah, that antenna there reminds me of my first antenna, Gotham. I think it was a V40 vertical, just a piece of junk. It wasn't as well made as that one.
Yeah, that I had the V40 also, and It survived a lot of ice storms, but it was bolted to the chimney on our house, so it didn't have much of a choice. But I was able to work even into the next county over on 40-meter CW back in my novice days. If you look at the loading coil on that particular antenna, you can tell that it was probably cobbled off of somebody's nearby still.
This reminds me too of the benefits of heat in shacks, before there was general heating. And so this would be nice to go out there and have the rigs running earlier, warm it up.
Right. And not to mention the composting that would be going on.
Yeah, if you could generate electricity and use that.
And this is a shot of the interior. Looks like he's worked a lot of DX on that. What is that? A Swan 500, and it looks like a what is that? A possibly a Heathkit final amplifier with the pink lid on it.
It's a Heathkit porta potty. You build it yourself. Yeah, and Tom, in this kind of shack, you had a purpose for the old QSL cards.
Exactly, and it's very commodious.
Oh, yeah. You collect QSLs in order to have some TP, I guess, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah. So
I don't see the Sears catalog, so he's probably using all the stateside QSL cards for a different purpose.
Yeah, there you go. Those guys, you didn't really want the cards from, you never returned one to them anyway.
That's correct. Here's Grandpa Dave, great Grandpa Dave, and his 1932 shack with his National NC 100 receiver, some type of cobbled together transmitter with seven dials, 14 buttons, 6 different knobs and controls, and his studio microphone. What do you think about that one, Quinn?
Boy, he better not turn to the right accidentally with that metal microphone. It looks like the rigs there don't have any side to that cabinet.
Exactly. My microphone looks more like some kind of egg beater or waffle maker.
Are you sure that's a National?
I am sure that's a National. I have exactly one of those in my antique shack in the garage.
Oh, for crying out loud. It did look like an old National to me, but man, that's good identification. Does yours work?
It powers on. Let's not go any further than that.
All right. Yeah, it's another one of those ham projects you need to do. So this I would categorize as sort of the broadcast station. It's when hams get to the point where they want to look like a studio, like a broadcast studio.
That's a very good example. You take this one, Quinn.
Yeah, this is so impressive. So now we get into the real modern shack. And so we've got a little bit of the wraparound. We've got shelves so we don't just stack the equipment on each other, and scratch them. Wow, it looks like he's got a little grid dip meter or something on the top there to measure power going out.
It's a field strength meter.
Field strength meter, yeah. And so let's see, he's got a couple of Helicrafters. I once had a Helicrafter transceiver. Can't remember the number on it, SR150 or something. It looked like that. What's else? It looks like a Clegg down there.
Yeah, it looks like a Clegg 6 meter. And over on the right-hand side, just underneath the beer mug, is some kind of Gonset.
Yeah, so this, in some respects, this is the movement into the modern age, the modern ham shack, and it's meant to be comfortable. Looks like there's a fairly comfortable chair down there. You got a couple of different mics. The mics are nice, they're not set up quite like the broadcast studio, but very nice. I had a couple of those Turner mics at one point. Yeah, and of course the beer mug, that's great. You get the QSL cards up there. You get a map of the world because there's always hope that you're going to work some other country up there that you haven't worked before.
Right. The ubiquitous Schlitz. Or
hey, wait a minute, you rascal. You changed Schlitz down below with my last name, Schultz with an E on the end.
Hey, it was close.
Yeah, good job.
It took you a while to notice it, though. But this shack here is when after mom got done with the dishes and feeding dad dinner, nothing like serving him a nice cold beer in a Pilsner glass while he's on trying to work the world and get that DX 100.
Fantastic stereotypes here about the meaning of a ham shack in the, what would this be, the mid to late 50s?
This would be the non-politically correct period of American history.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. He's got a tie on. He's coming in with a dress. It's like Ward Cleaver or something.
Exactly. All dad is missing is the pipe.
Yeah, the pipe. And he's got a paper call book there and, of course, a globe.
Of course.
Yeah,
Hey,
you have to kind of justify ham radio to other people, and you're learning about the world, so you put a globe in there.
I think it's one of these podcasts we should do covering the call book.
Covering the call book. Now, Tom, this is just so stereotypical. It's wonderful. Let's look at what that says in the bottom of the ad. Can you read that, or shall I give it a try?
Here's a message from Milwaukee. This thoughtful wife knows the moment her husband tunes in on Schlitz, the reception is good. For Schlitz has a very good taste that beer lovers are changing to with ultra-high frequency.
Oh,
Taste Schlitz yourself. You'll soon know why. Schlitz tastes so good to so many people. It's the first in sales in the USA.
yeah. And, of course, the ham shack also means drinking and primarily beer, right?
Primarily beer, right.
Yeah, it's the manly, the power of the ham shack, the power of drinking. I love this. Changing.
I think G. Heileman missed an opportunity with an ad like this for advertising Ham's beer.
Yeah. The Heileman mic now. We're into Heileman mics, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, bad. Sorry about that.
Is this your ham shack, Quinn, or is this my ham shack when we were novices?
Yeah, mine was not that nice, but this is definitely sort of the, it looks like the basement kids ham shack.
This is the basement kids ham shack, starting with the Knight T60 crystal controlled 60-watt input transmitter to the left. The receiver being I believe it's a Heathkit HT1 regenerative receiver, and of course the ubiquitous Q multiplier. And it looks like he's got a brass key. That brass key is probably the most expensive piece of equipment that he owns.
Yeah, you're missing his hush puppies.
I don't think so. It looks like he's got hush puppies if you look at his foot protruding underneath the desktop there.
Yeah.
The map of the world, again, he's hopeful that his 60 watts will carry him. Well, in this case, it looks like at least from coast to coast.
It's fantastic. I remember when I was first licensed, for me, I think I was 16, 1967. Yeah, 1967. And I used to read a column in Popular Electronics magazine by Herb Breyer, where he'd give these little paragraphs on different novices and what they were working. So-and-so with his T150 made 2 contacts this month, at least 27 miles away. And I would read that and I would just feel like, oh man, I want to be able to do that. I want to get my rig set up. I want to get a real antenna. And then of course, like the Willie Loman of ham radio, I end up with a V40 antenna that doesn't work anything. No matter what I do, I'd go out there in the middle of the winter to adjust that little sucker. My hands are freezing, thinking if I just move it another quarter on that inch on that coil, it's going to get me into Russia. Oh, well.
Hopeless.
Yeah. Here. All right. So, hey, this is great, Tom. This is the closet ham shack, another type of shack.
Right. This is the closet ham shack for probably an apartment dweller if he's got the landlord's permission. It is a nicely laid out rig, though. Very modern, updated. Took out the folding bifold doors off of the closet. The guy's probably single. Either that or he stores all his clothes underneath the bed because mom has got the adjacent closet. Yeah, very nicely laid out shack. And again, your safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you said guy. We have to be careful here. It could be a woman, too.
It could be indeed.
Yeah. And what I like on this one, Tom, is on the wall there, he's got his ARRL life member certificate, and then right above it, he's got the cross.
You need all the help you can get.
You need all the help you can get, buddy. Give money to the ARRL to get things going, and then also pray, because in the end, for most hams, when the sunspot's low, prayer is truly what we need.
And this would be this looks like your college dorm station to me. The twin bed, the ARRL certificates hanging on the wall, your shack stacked up on a piece of homemade bookshelf. So, yeah, very simplistic.
Yeah, it's either the bedroom or dorm shack. They're sort of the same thing, right? And I wonder how many of us really historically really got the meaning of ham radio in a bedroom or in a dorm room, where we started working from there. He's got the computer. He's got a little rig. I can't tell what that is. Maybe a TS590 or something up on a shelf there.
It looks like a TS590. He's also got, it looks like an amplifier on top.
Yeah, and a Meritron amp.
Yeah, this guy's running some power.
What I did in my bedroom when I was a kid is I got some of those metal shelves and put the rigs on there. It was sort of the cheap man's cabinet, and it was not good, because as I'll tell you another episode, when we do an episode on getting shocks, man, I got a heck of a shock holding that sucker and trying to adjust my 6146 grid current. But, that's another story.
This is mission control here, VE3JW. I am thoroughly impressed. This guy's got a lot going for him here. This is the ultimate, as far as I'm concerned, ham shack. I'm a little surprised, though, on the far left to see the Heathkit SB200 amplifier and the Hot Water 101. That kind of takes away from the overall essence of the place, but that's a hell of a monitor he's got on the wall.
Hams are pack rats to some extent, and we keep old equipment.
True, but you never know when there's going to be a big EMP pulse, and you're going to need that old tube rig.
That's true. It looks like he's got some old Ten-Tec equipment on the right side up there too. But it is impressive, and again, it goes back to that studio ham shack that a lot of people get into today, where you want it to look like a broadcast or even an international broadcast station. Actually,
this looks more like a lounge. If you notice the wraparound sofa affair there with the fella on the right, he's just kind of chilling out, smoking a big Cuban cigar.
Yeah. All right. This is our buddy up in Washington Island there, Wisconsin. I'm so glad you included this, Tom, because it goes another direction with the ham shack as a collector shack.
Right. This is kind of like Jay Leno's car collection. He's got one of everything here, probably of every manufacturer made, every kit made. And I just wonder where he puts his coaxial switch to turn these rigs on and off. Either that or he's got a big antenna farm to go along with it.
Yeah, somewhere. I tell you, this is just one of the rooms, too. He's got multiple rooms, and then he's got like a big garage area that's old rigs that probably still need some work. It's the ultimate collector station. And the first time after I saw these photos of his station, I had dreams that night that I would have a station like this with all these rigs, and I could pull out old rigs. Like I see an NCX 2000 amplifier there on the right above the Alpha, and I once operated one of those in college when I was in college. Hey, there's a Swan way up on the top.
Yep, I see it.
It looked maybe a 350, I'm not sure, but in any case, very impressive. The collector shack, we all have a bit of that in us, don't we?
Yeah, we certainly do. Not to forget the mobile shack. This guy's got a regular porcupine on his VW. He's got enough antennas here to work everything from DC to daylight.
I saw one on a busy road near us not long ago that had between 8 and 10 antennas on it. It was going fast the other direction, so I couldn't count them all. But the nice thing about this is you get to have multiple rigs, right? You can put them
That's
all
right.
on antenna like this guy must be doing.
Right there. Now this guy's got multiple rigs. This is the mobile collector's shack. Looks like just about everything here is either a control head or an HT. I'm wondering how many alternators he's running on that car and if he's got a trunk full of batteries.
In any case, this reminds me of a friend of mine back in our Chicago days that had a bunch of rigs, including 2 or 3 CB rigs on different channels, all in his vehicle. His vehicle was one of these big old caddies with the decent sized fins in the back. You know, it was a land yacht. Whoa, you drive that thing around. And he loved it. He didn't want to operate in his house. It was not nearly as nice as in that car. So he was always in that car, and he was always hitting McDonald's, going through the drive-through and getting food, and then he would eat it and throw the wrappers in the seat behind him. And one time I saw him, I kid you not, Tom, he had the wrappers all the way up to the back of the seat behind him without ever throwing them out, because he didn't have time to clean out the car. He just wanted to be operating in the front seat.
Amazing. Don't throw a match.
Don't throw a match.
This is a Gobox. This is kind of like the latest trend in mobile compact ham radio. I've got a little one myself. Nothing as neatly set up as this, but yeah, this is for the go. You're going to your vacation home. You're going to the lake. You're going camping in the woods. You go mountain topping. Going looks like to a park someplace on a park bench. It's got it all. It's got VHF, UHF, HF power supplies, and enough meters and to monitor the equipment. It's pretty cool.
It's impressive. Yeah, all you need is power. So in a sense, this is the mobile shack. You take your shack wherever you want to go, and you're not just limited to a mobile vehicle, whether it's a navigation, a ship or a car.
Right. We'll call this one the Shack in a Box.
Shack in a Box, which leads us back to the beginning. So here you see our Fred Flintstone guy up there with his CW banging it out. And then on the bottom right, you see this guy out. He's doing a soda. Summit's on the air or something. He's got his rig out there. So, in some respects, Tom, nothing changes.
Nothing changes. And what goes around eventually comes around. A rock and a rig.
Wow. So we've done a little tour here of ham shacks and looking at the meaning of them, the development of them. Not to cover them all, there are things like contest stations and other things we could look at. But what I want to get across on this, and I really appreciate your work on the pictures, Tom, is that the ham shack evolves along with what the meaning of the hobby is to people. It's not a static thing.
No, and it's evolved along with the society also. Society became more and more mobile, and so did the shack.
Yeah, so here on Ham Radio Perspectives, we look at the meaning of ham radio, the culture around ham radio, not just the equipment, though the equipment is important because it's not just operating, it's what it means to us. And ham shacks definitely have meaning. So if you've liked this little broadcast, please subscribe down below. Also give us a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, give us a thumbs down. Post your comments, your questions. Help us identify other equipment that we missed, or comments about other shacks. Or if you want to see another show on ham shacks, we'll do it. So thanks for tuning in to Ham Radio Perspectives. Again, I'm Quinn, K8QS, quite sexy, or Dr. Q.
And I'm Tom, WA9, Tango, Delta, and 7/3.
Thanks so much, Tom. We'll see you all later.
All right.